I'm a Quaker. Grew up Quaker.
What does that mean? You were saying, John was saying that earlier, that there was a Quaker meeting house that he wanted to go to.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means. I don't mean to be ignorant. I'm sorry.
Meeting for real. Now, Toby. I grew up at Wellesley Friends meeting when I was living in Boston earlier. Boston Ring, not Boston. I was living all over the place: Alston, Arlington, Lexington, Needham. My mom grew up in Needham, so my grandparents lived there, and so I went to Wellesley Friends. My grandma worked at Wellesley College as I think a librarian. I'm not sure, but I think so. And being a Quaker is pretty much like the big thing is like nonviolence. Like I'll say that's like the biggest thing was instilled in me. Like just a nonviolent attitude. Like I talk shit and I'll yell and all that, but like and Quakers will yell. I'm stopped seeing Quakers yell, but it's it's not like some people see it as extreme. I guess the most extreme thing about it would be the nonviolent attitude in some ways. But yeah, it's pretty much the difference is like we don't really have like a pastor or like a preacher. It's more like a clerk. My grandpa was the clerk of the meeting house.
Is there a God?
Yeah, kind of. And you get a Bible, but it's more like God is like the holy energy that is within.
Yeah. And we're back. I don't know what happened. You started talking about God. And he smited us. He was like, nah, you can't talk about us on this podcast. We're restarting.
He said,
At least he didn't delete the whole file.
Thank you, God.
I do.
We're not deleting the whole file.
No, you were explaining to me. You were explaining to me what the God entity was in Quakerism.
Right, so I always just grew up like believing in something, believing in like how a lot of people say that. Quakers pretty much belief is like a nice little constructed version of that, in my opinion. Big thing, nonviolent. There's a history of like Quakers being active pacifists. I think maybe inherently they are to an extent. Obviously, I am, and that's how the Quakers were brought up, but on paper, like couldn't go to war, little shit like that. Quakers got a pretty interesting history in America.
Are there any other Quaker rappers?
I think Chris Crack is a Quaker.
Really?
I think so.
Oh wow!
Because I
have you've never met
someone hit me up like I would post online like I'm a Quaker rapper. You know what I mean? I'd be saying shit on Twitter. Someone was like, "What about Chris Crack?" I was like, who? Like then I did my research and I was like, oh, I grew up on Tree. Like you remember MC Tree?
Yeah, no,
of course. Up on that. Like super.
Chris Crack's yeah.
Tree, bro, one of my favorite rapper producers ever. So then I was like, oh, what? This is all a thing. And then Chris Crack, I was like, I reached out to him like, yo, we need to make something one day on some Quaker shit. And Wiki went to Quaker school.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't even That's how like it's ignorance,
Friend school. If you see something friend school, I went to Cambridge Friend School and I was in the Boston Ring, like I was talking about. So I grew up when it came.
And they teach you nonviolence.
I think I can't like fully specifically remember at the school, but you have silent meeting, which is like our worship, where you're just quiet for like the adults are quiet for like an hour, 45 minutes. It's like pretty long. When you go to there's a Sunday school kind of thing.
He's doing a 10-day silent meditation retreat.
Nice. Yeah, that's some West Mass shit for sure.